Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and welcome back to Blender. Today we are going to be talking about Ridiculosity, games that sound like they're so bad, but they turn out to be good, or the fact that some games' themes and what they represent are bad. They're like ridiculous. It's goofy stuff, but it makes the game even better because then on the back end of that, you'll be laughing and having a good time while you're playing the game. So, hopefully you find at least one new game that becomes that game that you show off on the shelf to your friends and go, look at this thing, here's what the theme is, let's try it, So, I like that kind of thing. It's a hard experience to pinpoint, especially when there are so many themes available now. There's quite a bit of ridiculous content if you really want to think about how ridiculous many of our games are. But I was going here for the creme de la creme. So, without further ado, let's dive into this. Have a good time. I'll see you in just a couple of minutes.
Did you bring it?
Yes, I have it on me.
Show it. Let's play.
Let's play. Hello everybody and welcome to the life of the Iron Gang. Our names are not important. Today we are going to talk about a game called Sparkle Kitty, or as we call it, the game of total tiger destruction. In this game you will play various cards with different colors and you will try to match colors or the symbol on the card, and you use some ugly sleeves just to dumb down the colors a little because the colors are too shiny. Also, you will try to escape some prison, and the one who does this first is the winner, and he won't be eaten by tigers. That's that. Sprinkle.
Chicken sprinkle.
Cupcake sprinkle.
Cupcake bunny.
Glitter bunny.
Glitter boo boo.
You saw nothing. Doodle boo boo.
Doodle pony.
Hi Board Game Blender, this is Chris and Lindsay from Behind the Box, and little known fact about us, we are huge fans of cheese. Red Leicester, Feta, Parmigiano Reggiano, you name it, we love it. Just a few examples of the cheese that's in our fridge right now. So it just makes sense that we would also love cheese in our board games. And one of our cheesiest board games is Escape from 100 Million BC.
I mean, just look at the box art. It looks like something from the 80s. Like, this could be the plot of a Back to the Future or Bill and Ted movie. And it kind of plays that way too. So it's a cooperative game. You and up to 5 of your friends will be playing as these cliche 80s movie characters that have been sent back in time on a mission to explore a volcanic island filled with dinosaurs. But something's gone wrong. When you land, your time machine explodes, all of the parts get thrown about the island, as well as all the equipment that you had with you, things like your candy bars and your equipment from the future, your futuristic technology, as well as some clothing. So your objective now has become, we've got to get those things. We have to collect those equipments while basically doing as little damage as possible to the ecosystem so that you don't impact the future. So you'll be doing this by exploring this island. It's randomly created each time you play, so you'll be drawing from a tile, a stack of tiles each time you want to explore. Each of these tiles will have different icons on them. So it might be you get equipment, so you can earn some of your equipment back, or dinosaurs that spawn there, or events that you get to experience and hopefully not die from. So everything you do impacts the future. So you want to avoid killing dinosaurs. You don't want to leave anyone behind. You want to make sure you gather as much, if not all, the equipment, because once the game's finished, you'll check this table at the back of the book, and you'll compare your score to that table. So maybe that candy bar that you left behind that you were like, it's no big deal. Now, instead of people, everyone's a cat. And so we live in this cat world all of a sudden. It's a really fun and just cool thematic part of the game that has no gameplay bearing, but it's just a really nice way of telling a story about what you do to the future.
And you mentioned people that you leave behind. This is one of the coolest things, I think, is that these portals that have opened up meant that people are falling back in time to where you are. And it's up to you to go and locate these people and convince them to go back to their time, gain their trust, And it's really neat because it's recognizable people throughout history. So you'll definitely see some familiar faces there. So it's fun to see who winds up in your game, and it definitely lends to some great storytelling that you can share.
The storytelling is the biggest draw for us for this game. You'll come away with a tale about your time in the past. So there'll be a big dinosaur war that somehow starts happening just because of this random series of events that occurs. And it's a really great co-op game.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a step above your usual intro games, but it's still like easy enough and friendly enough that you could introduce newer players to the world of board gaming through this game. I think it's a huge shame. When this game came out, it didn't do anywhere near as well as we feel that it should have done.
So if you've got a favorite cheesy game, then please share it in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts.
And if you have a favorite cheese, share that as well, because we're always looking for ways to expand our collection of cheeses. And if you want any other board game discussions with ourselves, then check us out at our own social media. Until the next one, we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Nora, you promised to play a game with me.
Anna, I'm studying.
But you're watching Netflix. Hi everyone, Anna here. And today I have with me my little sister. She doesn't play that many games, so I thought it would be fun to introduce her to some new games.
Well, actually I do play games. I play beer pong.
This week's theme is games that are so over the top that it adds to the fun. So I thought it would be nice to introduce Nora to Dungeon Fighter. Nora, what do you think when you see the box?
Well, first of all, I think this guy really needs some personal grooming. I mean, look at those...
Nora, I mean, like, what do you think the game is going to be?
Oh, well, I think we will be shooting at little green guys.
I guess close enough. Okay, Nora, in this game we are going to go through this dungeon with all these big heroes, of which you can pick one. And they're all these different kind of characters and they're all really cool. And we are going to try, of course, to get to the end boss.
Can I be the fairy?
Of course you can be the fairy. This we're going to do with these dice that we have here.
But what's this big thing in the middle?
Oh, I'm glad you asked, because we're not just going to throw the dice like you're maybe used to with in Monopoly. We are going to be throwing it at the target.
What?
Yes, we are going to throw dice at the target, and the more you get it into the middle, into the bull's eye, the more damage you are going to do to the monster that you're trying to defeat. Not only are you going to play with your special adventurer, every adventurer has its own unique powers. Like with every dungeon fighter, you are going to be able to level up and make your character even cooler with all these cool loot.
Like what?
You are going to be able to have a bow and arrow.
But don't I get a bow and arrow in the beginning?
No, but you can buy them.
Okay.
The point of the game is trying to get the dice as close to the target as possible. And you are going to have to bounce it once.
But Anna, what is now exactly the point of the game? Should you get it like in the middle or outside the circle?
You of course have to get it inside the circle.
Sorry.
Of course, Nora, you really want to use those cool weapons that are going to give you bonus damage points. But you do have to throw in a more difficult way. So it's going to be more difficult for you to actually hit the target.
But you can't even hit the target when you're throwing normal.
Okay, but anyway, let's try it out. Of course, you want to try the bow and arrow. And with the bow and arrow, you have to sit underneath the table looking at the target. Just try it.
Like this?
Yeah, like that. Yay! Okay, Nora, now we played the game. What did you actually think of it?
Well, I really liked it. I think I like it even more than beer pong.
What? I never thought I would hear those words.
Well, if the vocal abilities of Aristide would be 0 and the ties of Torm would be 5, I would give this game the amazingness of the beard of Randolph.
Thanks so much, Nora, that you wanted to be in my video and I could explain this game to you. Next time we are going to do Clank.
Next time?
Normally you are going to the dice like this with 1. Normally you are going to throw the dice like this. Normally you are going to throw the dice like this.
Yay!
Normally you are going to throw the dice like this.
I don't get the game, Anna.
For today's game under the radar, I'm taking a look at New York Slice. This game right here, which as you can see, is meant to look like a pizza box. The theme is pizza. You open this up, and you're going to find a bunch of tiles that all look like pizza. The menu, or the manual, those two actually sound quite a bit alike. And that's, of course, meant to look like a menu at a pizza restaurant. The game overall just looks like one of those games that it's somewhere between mass market, maybe it's not a very good game look, or very sort of gimmicky, silly game, you know. But it's actually quite a solid game. Now, this is a reprint of a game that came out before, which had a pie theme. And you were doing the same sorts of things. This one actually adds a couple of little rules. But the game and this idea of making pizza pies, and then splitting them up is very clever and engaging. I enjoy the concept quite a bit. Now, I do like myself personally the look of the original game more than this one. It's more cartoony, whereas this one is photorealistic. So, for example, the back of the pizza slices here actually look like a photo. I think they are photos. Maybe they're artwork, but they look like photos. And then the front of the pizzas also are photorealistic, okay? But in the game, what you are doing is making a pie and then splitting that pie and equally, and by that I mean the same number of pieces as the number of players, and then players are going to draft a piece of that pizza. You get last pick if you're the one who splits, so you have to be careful how you split things. And you are going to get points by collecting some of them. And if you have the most of a kind at the end of the game, you're going to get that many victory points. If you've got the most of these, I get 8 victory points at the end. But instead of that, as you are getting new pieces, you can just eat them. And that's a guaranteed amount of victory points. So you can play the long game, hope to outpace someone in the specific different kinds, or not fight that battle, just eat the pieces outright. Which ones do you eat now? Which ones do you save for later and try to win the majority scoring? Therein lies the rub. This version also adds some new tiles here. These are not in the original version of the game, which give you special scoring conditions, things like that. The whole thing really has a very kind of hokey look, and honestly, that's what I don't like about it, which is why I've kept my original. But pound for pound, this is a better design than the original. There's more content in it. There are now this idea of half slices, where you've got one single slice that actually counts as 2 different things on a single slice. I like that. There's just more to it now. So, yeah, it's not getting a lot of love maybe, or at least I'm perceiving it that way, to not be getting a lot of love, because I think the look leaves something to be desired. It does not look like it's going to be a good game. And I think the pizza theme is neat, but again, I keep coming back to that word. It looks a little hokey, you know? But it's a solid game. It's really an enjoyable game. It's interesting, quick. Definitely check it out if it's one you've perhaps seen, haven't given a go. It's a game that distills this mechanism of I split, you choose to its absolute core and gives you tons of turn angst and tension. And when it's your turn to split the pizza, oh boy, you're really going to be thinking about it, because the fact that these show up randomly next to each other, you know, in a pizza shape, you got to split them without reshuffling them. So if you make a split here, that's fine. Or you can make a split here, that's fine. But you cannot just move these things around. Very clever stuff. So there you go. That is New York Slice for my game under the radar. Give it a shot if you've avoided it before. Maybe you haven't heard of it. It's a solid game, and delicious, if I do say so myself. I will see you next time.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to Two Player Showdown. I'm Rebecca. This is Hunter. Right now we're finishing a game up, which is over the top. Dare I say, over the big top. Meeple Circus. But we're in the final round, so I have to clap my hands every time an element is placed. What do you have?
I have to say, and hop, when I put a meeple on the board.
All right, excellent. You ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Let's do this. Go. You haven't been hopping, sir.
I haven't put a meeple yet, ma'am.
Nope.
And hop. Oh, and hop. And hop. And hop. He'll be up front. Trying to get this tall, but I don't do a very good job. Oh man, I'm horrible at this. Let's do this. And hop! And hop! Get on the board! And hop! And hop! And hop! I don't care where you are, just... Oh my gosh! How much time's left?
Ah, we're about halfway done. Okay.
Alright, I give up. I'm going easy.
Never give up.
Play it easy, right?
Oh crap. Oh dear.
And hop!
No, I can't
And
do
hop!
it. Apparently I can't do this.
And hop!
I'm getting us 5 points at least. I'm gonna do
And
it.
hop!
Oh dear.
And hop!
I'm almost done.
And hop! And hop! And I'm saying and hop about balls.
I have to do about almost. I am happy nothing fell apart. All right.
You're stacked
Fairly intense.
fairly low there.
My stuff kept falling. Oh my gosh! How'd you pull that off? Yep. So this is crazy over the top. It comes with app with great music, which several different ones besides the traditional theme. It's got like electric guitar, metallic theme or something like that, an organ theme, circus music. It's got all these wonderful little meeples. There's even a tiger. These round balls. There's planks. Oh, I don't think either of us had a plank of wood. All these great pieces. A lot of fun. You get to draw tiles that tell you what things you're going to have. And there's some specialty ones, like you can see our little acrobat dude. They have special abilities. When you have that round, for example, mine, her head has to touch the ground or she doesn't get those points. And then in the final round, you get some screwy thing like this where you're clapping or doing something. Some of them make you jump up and down or make a drum roll on the table. There's all sorts of really silly things. The whole time the circus music is playing. You're fighting with these dexterity things, all trying to get the most victory points. So what do you think about this silliness?
Of all the dexterity games, this one freaks me out the most. I don't know why I get so nervous when I play this game.
Oh, this is the most nerve-wracking game. I think it's the
But it's funny,
time,
too.
Yeah, most dexterity games that we own don't have any time frame involved, and this one with that timer constantly going and the cymbals crashing and the final round when you have to remember to do something silly is, wow, it's pretty intense. So, if you enjoy silly dexterity fun, you need to try out Meeple Circus.
Cool catchphrase!
Hey guys, I'm Ben,
And I'm Tommy.
and we're talking board games.
And today on Consider the Comments, we are talking about Pounce, which is also known as Catch 'em, Catch the Mouse, Catch a Mouse, Hashmish, Jerk, Carla Cat, and 47 more. Or 46. Carla Cat's not actually in there.
No. It's a lot of names.
Yeah, it is. Well, I guess Carla Cat wouldn't be in there. Pounce, though. Anyway, we're going to actually explain the game first.
Yeah.
A little atypical for what we do. But we'll explain this first. By the way, this week on Blender, it's games that are ridiculous. So cheesy.
Cheesy, get it?
Get it?
Ha!
That they're fun. So, Pounce, in this game, you have one person who's the cat or whatever it is in whatever version you're playing.
The jerk.
Yeah. And then everybody else is they've got a mouse by the tail and they pull it out at the time when the cat they roll the dice, they call out 2 numbers, and if either of the dice is one of those numbers, they have to try to catch everybody.
Let us show you.
3 and 6. 1 and 2. 3 and 4.
Yes! I'm alive!
Snake eyes.
I can't even see past your arm. You're like holding it in front of me.
There we go.
That's 1 and 1?
No, you don't have to do that. You like roll with this hand.
Well, yeah, I'm being strategic.
I'm trying to watch dice.
Okay, here we go. Crap style. 2 and 3.
Ow! Yes!
Too far over there.
What do you mean?
I'm like nervous. It's so far away.
Okay, I'm gonna try to make this fair for everybody.
Turkey being pounced.
1 and 5.
It moved! I didn't even see it. I didn't even...
And we're back. Let me preface this by saying Linky Boy here, Linky Boy 23. He is a World of Warcraft fan and a Sega fan. Both pretty
Yes.
involved games as
Yeah.
far as I'm concerned. So take his comment with a grain of salt. But Linky Boy 23 says, mindless game are what I live for entirely.
English is what he lives for.
But there has to be at least some type of thought included. Right? Of course! Fake pounce, fake out the pouncer, all tactical. All skills with a Z.
Okay.
He rated it a 9, by the way.
He may be overstating the amount of skills involved in this game.
There's a decent amount.
I don't know. On the other end of the spectrum, Agent T-Bib rated this game a 2.
T-Bib.
And he said, when I was a child, we played this very often. But now I'm too old for this game, I'm afraid.
He's got to be like
Wrong.
90.
90, yeah.
At least.
Unless he can't lift his arm, I think he's probably okay.
Yeah, but that wouldn't mean that he's too old for it.
I don't know how you're going to pounce if you can't lift your arm.
Yeah, but he said he's too old. Now he's too old.
Yes.
So, I mean, I guess because he can't lift his arm because he's so old.
Right, that might...
I guess.
Anyways, great game. A lot of fun for anyone. It's one of those games that you don't really play for any particular reason other than to have fun.
Other than to show people the ridiculous game that you own.
Other than to be like, hey, check out this really
You
weird
heard
game.
of this game?
Because the scoring is super arbitrary, and you don't really want to play for more than like 5-10 minutes tops.
Yeah.
And you'll be sick of it. But those 5-10 minutes are pretty fun. A lot of laughs.
Good times.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable game. Definitely check it out if you can find it under whatever
One of those 50
alias
names.
it's under.
Make your own copy. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, apparently there's a plunger in some of them, so all you'll need is a plunger and some string with something on the end to
Plunger
pull
and some
out.
toilet paper.
That'd probably get wrecked pretty quickly.
Probably.
Well, thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe everything that the Dice Tower does, and then go over to all the contributors and do the same. Thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
See ya. Roll that beautiful bean.
What? Today on Consider the Comment. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm Tommy, and today...
Oh.
Oh, well, no, okay. Go ahead.
Just, no.
I feel like we should just start this whole thing over.
Hello, friends of the blend. Welcome back to Retro Board Game Corner. I always wanted to say that. Do you mind if I take over my own segment, please? I'm broadcasting from California with my mother and my father. Today we're talking about games with concepts so cheesy that it adds to the fun. Here I have Dynamite Shack, published in 1968 by Milton Bradley. This is a 2 to 4 player game in which you're trying to get all your dynamite sticks down the shack before it explodes. Let me set this up and show you how it works. So to start the game, everybody's cards are going to be face down. The first player is going to flip over a card. So that has a red 2, so he has to put 2 red sticks of dynamite into the shack. The other 2 cards are a choice of 1 stick of any color, meaning 1 stick of any color. And then the last card is 1 stick from another player, meaning you have to grab 1 stick of dynamite from another player. After you have flipped over your card and did the action on the card, play passes to the next player. Before the first player flips over the card and starts playing, you have to turn the timer to the shack. You just spin this knob all the way until it stops. If at any time the shack explodes while you are trying to put the dynamite in the hole, you're going to need to get all the dynamite out and put it into your stack of dynamite sticks. The object of the game is to get rid of all the dynamite sticks that are in front of you. But you're probably saying, well, heck, that's easy to put a dynamite stick in top of the hole. Well, yeah? Well, is it easy while you're wearing these big, giant pink thumbs? Let me show you how this works. First, let me wind up the shack. And ready, set, go.
1 red.
1 blue. Dad, put the thumbs on. Put the thumbs on and flip over a card. Put the thumbs on and flip over a card. Well, now you lost the round. And that's how the game is played. May your rolls be high.
That's it?
Go.
1 red. No, honey, you can't.
Usted haga lo que tiene.
Still too long.
Hold on, mommy.
No, I messed up. First, I'll start the timer. And ready, set, go. Go.
Oh, it didn't start. We broke it. Did you break it? Uh-oh.
Stop.
For today's Quirky Game, I'm taking a look at a fantasy game in which you and your party are trying to find the right items to go on a quest. That doesn't sound that bizarre, it doesn't sound particularly strange, but in this one, you can talk to one another and all the things you're looking for, you're finding in the mall. What I'm talking about here is, of course, the recent critical darling Magic Maze, which is a really ridiculous theme and really a bizarre and quirky game when you think about it. So in the game, you are going to have a mall played out on the board, and that mall is made up of tiles. So these tiles are going to be laid out in a specific format. Everyone has a pawn they place on a starting location on these tiles, and then you're off to the races. What are you trying to do? Get specific characters to specific locations on these tiles and having them, find the items they need, right? These characters are fantasy tropes, and they need specific goodies to go on their questing. However, as I said, you cannot talk to one another. So you cannot say, oh, that character should go there. Why don't we move it there? In this game, instead, you cannot speak, and you are only able to move all the characters in a very specific way. So, for example, if I'm sitting over here, I've got 3 other players at the table, I can only move the characters in one direction. So let's say they can only move to my left, right? If you want to call that, west, let's say. So I can move anything, and it's all real time. But sometimes, and this happens quite often, and it happens quite often to me, there's something I should be doing, and I just don't see it. Because other folks can move pieces until I've done my part, until I've taken this character, cleared something, and then everybody else jumps into action moving that character to some predetermined location. And then therein comes that one mechanism which drives me crazy and makes me tense up in this game, and that is that you can take a pawn, a piece in the game, and slap it in front of someone else to suggest, hey, Goofus, you should be doing something. But you can't speak, and then this thing becomes quite, folks are going to grab this thing and, do this whole, like, hey, buddy, come on. Oh, it just drives me insane because I don't see it, and then when they rush me and do this thing, I get even more claustrophobic almost, right? I'm freaking out. I'm like, I don't see it. I'm sorry. And then every now and then you do get a break where you have like a little bit of downtime. You can converse, be like, okay, let's try to get this character over here. Let's try to, explore this area because you are finding more of these tiles and laying them out. They're not all out on the table when you begin. And then back to the silent, real-time aspect of the game. It's very clever. It's interesting. As I said, it was a critical darling, and a lot of people adore it. The game has a lot of content, and it builds upon that content from level to level. When you first play, if you start at level 1, the game is quite simple. And then you start adding little rules, new symbols that show up on the tiles, new things you can do. But there's a lot in the box, and they've already got an expansion for this called Maximum Security. So this one here, Magic Maze Maximum Security, which again continues this ridiculous theme of having this elf being hounded. Right here on the cover, you got the elf being hounded about by a beholder that's clearly a security guard at the mall. And that just makes sense to me. So there you go. That is Magic Maze. Very quirky, very bizarre game. When I first heard what the theme was and how the game played, I thought to myself, no, this is either it doesn't work, it's going to be clunky, it's just going to be too ridiculous for me. And while I don't adore the game, a lot of people do. And it's a game that certainly had a lot of love out there and gets a lot of play. So there you go. That is Magic Maze for our quirky game of the episode. Check it out if you haven't played it yet, and you might be surprised yourself. Magic Maze. See you next time.
Welcome to Bickering Over Board Games, where we talk about trends in board gaming and how we feel about them. So the theme for the blender this week is games with themes that are so over the top and cheesy and ridiculous that they add to the fun. And before we get into it, we should just address that we don't have our usual high-tech professional recording equipment. We're using a phone, but next Blender we're gonna have a brand new camera, and the quality, we're going places. We're moving up. Some of the, I don't want to say cheesy, but most over-the-top themes that we have.
Where the theme adds to the fun, because it's just so...
So we're our Kickstarter games, right? So one that I definitely wanted to talk about was World Championship Russian Roulette. And the reason why I want to talk about this, the theme is certainly divisive. I'm not sure if I would say it's cheesy, but it's definitely not neutral.
Speaking of Kickstarter games, that Barker's Row, which we recently got,
this is
kind
also
of
a
has...
Kickstarter game.
Well, I don't know. I don't keep track of that stuff. But this is more that theme that may not be for everybody.
So apparently a Barker is somebody that's trying to attract people into a carnival.
Which, I don't think it's for everyone. I mean, the artwork, some of it is... I mean, I think it's beautiful, but I guess that if you have, like, a weak stomach and don't want to see, like, you know, a ghost girl or a man with a claw...
they're not that ridiculous.
No, they aren't,
but I think the bigger thing is that there's a part of the game where you're literally a Barker and you're like, come see the hair-raising, tremendous, I don't think stupendous is one, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and some people really hate games that make them talk out loud or like
Be
perform,
silly,
right?
Yeah,
And
which I don't normally like, but I love it in this game.
because you're a barker, which
Yeah.
I didn't know what a barker was, but
Like I
now I
hate
do.
the acting out in. I mean, not that Cranium is a game, but there's when it just seems
Cranium's
like
a game. It's
where
just-
it just seems like you're. Or what's that one game
12?
we play? Yeah,
Yeah,
like
it's also a game,
where you're
but-
just like, why am I doing this? But this, you don't have to think about it. You want to yell out those things. Honestly, when we heard of this theme, the first game that both of our minds went to is French Maids, that we so endearingly call it.
So it's a we call it naughty maids.
Oh.
It's a
Which isn't
Japanese
really fair to them.
game. No, they're in a position of vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese game with a French-made theme and an Italian name.
Maybe our friend who speaks Italian was over the other night, and he could roll his R beautifully when he
And
said.
apparently he said this is much heart?
Yeah.
Many hearts or something?
And this game was surprisingly heavier than I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know. And, I couldn't take it seriously until we actually started playing it, and we had a ton of fun.
It's actually a pretty good game. Like, I would say it's better than your average deck builder.
Yeah.
It's a game that if it wasn't so silly, it would be offensive, and I could understand if it was offensive for somebody, because what you're doing is like a bad thing in real life. But of course, so much of
Giving young girls a home off of the street and offering them love?
abusing your power for your own gain. Yeah, I mean, but then again, so many games are about things which in real life are bad. You know, like, it's not good to kill people, but in so many of our games, that's featured prominently.
Yeah, you want there to be a variety of different themes. Everything from stacking cats, which I think you would be hard-pressed to find someone who found that theme anything but just, like, cute and silly, to Russian roulette.
But if you didn't like cats...
Yeah. Maybe then you would like it, because you'd be like, I'm torturing them. I hate cats.
But they look so happy.
And so, yeah, I think that there's enough room for more games that are silly and fun, but
I would
also
like to see more
are
silly
heavy and challenge you mentally
Yeah.
while having
Yeah.
fun is
I think
a
that's
great balance.
That's a good thing to point out. I think that a lot of the silliest games are in the lightest packages. And
But at the end of the day, aren't all games kind of silly?
on that note, cheers.
Hey everyone, my name is Chris, and this is the Teacher's Lounge. Now, if you're like me, ridiculosity? That's not a word that, describes you or anything. It's not like I own a painting of Batman riding, say, a velociraptor. What? This thing? Oh, no, I'm holding it for a friend on my wall. Seriously, it's one of my prized possessions. But also, if you're like me, you teach a lot of board games to your friends and to your family. So the Teacher's Lounge is a place where we talk about teaching recommendations, ways to make sure that people are having fun around the table. So today, thinking of Ridiculosity, I think of just a few weekends ago at MeepleCon, Las Vegas' board game convention, where we got to have a lot of people come in. So Crystal and Ambi got to meet them from the Board Game Blitz podcast. A few people named Tom Vassell, Sam Healy, and some guy named Z Garcia showed up, as well as Nick and Mike Murphy, the brothers Murph. So at 11:30 at night, winding down our whole experience at the convention, Nick and Mike taught us a game called Rhino Hero Super Battle. Rhino Hero Super Battle is the ridiculous game of the day. You take folded cards and you stack them up on top of each other, and you basically just make like a tower of cards, like a house of cards, that's just fragile and easy to fall over, and you play until someone knocks the tower over. It is an incredibly simple, silly game, right? But on top of that, you have little animal meeples, and so you can have the rhino hero, or the penguin hero, or the elephant hero, and you roll a die after you successfully put down a card, and you determine, that die tells you whether you can move your meeple up stories or down stories. And so on top of just having this little kids kind of feeling dexterity game, there's dice in it that tell you whether you're going to move up or not. You want to have the highest meeple when the tower falls down. And if two meeples are on the same floor together, then they have a roll off, right? You roll an offensive and a defensive die, and that determines whether the meeple is going to move down, the other person's, or whether it's yours. It's just such a silly, ridiculous sounding game that I absolutely had a ton of fun with. The tension ramps up, and it's just exciting to see what's going to happen. And of course, it's just going to be really funny when the tower falls. So what kind of teaching recommendation am I going to give with a game that's so simple that you already know how to play it now? When I was thinking about this, I think my teaching recommendation to consider is, when are you teaching certain types of games? That'll determine whether you're going to have a lot of success as a teacher or not. So 11:30 at night, we're all tired and sleep deprived and laughing a lot, and that's like the perfect time to bust out a game like this. Maybe with your more serious gaming group, they don't really want that. They want to be able to sit down and pull out a longer, more intense game. And so if they're not in the mood for a game like this, then no matter how well you teach it or anything, it's not really going to be in some ways like a successful teaching experience, because the people weren't really into it. So maybe your game group isn't always into this type of thing, and so you can set it up ahead of time and say, hey, this is the type of game I'd like to play on this meetup day. That way people know ahead of time. That's just a nice courtesy. We usually play heavy Euro games, but today, or like, hey, this coming week, let's plan to do a couple of smaller, sillier games. Or if your game group tends to play smaller games, you say, hey, I've got this big one that I'm really excited to teach, ahead of time, giving people that notice, right? So set up the opportunity to teach the type of game that you want to, and make sure that it fits the occasion. And you can, if you have like a recurring setup thing, you can set the expectation. That way the occasion is set up. So overall, that's my recommendation. It's a simple one, right? But people like to know what they're in for. And so if you want to pull out a ridiculous, silly game, then hopefully people don't expect that you're going to pull out like Great Western Trail or Feast for Odin or something on them instead of this little game. So thanks for coming to the Teacher's Lounge. If you have any recommendations, then feel free to leave them in the comments below. I'll be responding under the name Meeple Overboard, the podcast that my wife and I do together. Hope to be seeing you around, and have a great day.
And that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking out the episode. As I said in the intro, I hope you found something cool that you perhaps hadn't heard about, or something you had dismissed, and maybe you can dive into it, and hey, it might become a new favorite for you. Thanks to everybody for their fantastic segments, as always. If you want to be perhaps a part of Board Game Blender, then let me know. Send me an email with your idea for a segment. We'll get a demo, we'll check it out, we'll talk about it, and hey, maybe you will be on the next episode of Board Game Blender and become a contributor yourself to this fantastic hobby and a part of our little Blender family. So that's it for me. I'm going to see you again in a couple of weeks. And as always, hey, stay a friend of the blend. I'll see you next time.